Hey there, car enthusiasts. Welcome back to Fixbook. I'm Jordan. And today we're diving into some of the most common car problems and most importantly, how you can fix them yourself. Whether you're a seasoned DIYer or just starting out, this video will help you save time and money by tackling these issues head-on. We'll be covering everything from jump-starting a dead battery to changing a flat tire and even troubleshooting that pesky check engine light. Remember guys, working on your own car can be super rewarding and empowering. Plus, it's a great way to learn more about how your vehicle works. Don't worry, I'll walk you through each fix step by step, and I'll give you all the tips and tricks I've learned over the years to make the job easier. So grab your tools, put on your work clothes, and let's get started. First up on our list is a classic issue, a dead battery. We've all been there trying to start the car and getting nothing but a click. This is usually caused by leaving the lights on or simply an old battery. But don't worry, it's an easy fix. Check for any interior lights left on and make sure the battery terminals are clean. Corrosion can build up and prevent a good connection. If the terminals look good, grab your jumper cables. Make sure both cars are parked on a level surface, engines off, and in park or neutral. Connect the positive and negative terminals correctly. Red to positive, black to negative. Getting this wrong can damage your car's electrical system, so it's crucial to get it right. Connect the red cable to the positive terminal of the dead battery. You'll see a plus sign, plus, on the battery. Connect the other end to the positive terminal of the good battery. Connect the black cable to the negative terminal of the good battery. Connect the other end to a metal grounding point on your car's frame. Avoid connecting to the dead battery's negative terminal. Start the good car and let it run for a few minutes. Then, try starting your car. Disconnect the cables in reverse order. Drive for at least 30 minutes to charge the battery. If it dies again, get your battery checked. Remember guys, prevention is key. To avoid getting stranded with a dead battery, make sure to turn off all your lights when you exit your car. Also, it's a good idea to check your battery's health every few months, especially if it's older than 3 years. You can buy a simple battery tester online or at any auto parts store. Check the link in the video description for the best prices. A healthy battery should read around 12.6 volts. If it's significantly lower, it might be time for a new battery. And hey, if you're looking for a fun project, you can even learn how to change your car battery yourself. It's not as hard as you might think, and I have a whole video dedicated to it right here on Fixbook. Just search for Fixbook car battery replacement and you'll find it. Next up, we're tackling another common car problem, flat tires. Stick around, because you won't want to miss these essential tips and tricks. Let's talk about flat tires. It's a common problem that can happen anytime, anywhere. Whether it's a nail or an old tire, getting a flat can be a real pain. But with the right tools, you can fix it yourself. First, find a safe place to pull over. Avoid busy roads or steep inclines. Engage your parking brake and turn on hazard lights. Gather your tools, lug wrench, jack, and spare tire. These are usually in the trunk or under the cargo floor. Loosen the lug nuts before lifting the car. Remember righty-tighty, lefty-loosey? Now it's time to use the jack to lift your car. Consult your owner's manual to find the correct jacking point for your specific vehicle. It's usually a reinforced section of the frame rail just behind the front wheels or in front of the rear wheels. Positioning the jack incorrectly can damage your car, so it's crucial to get this right. Once the jack is properly positioned, start cranking it up until the flat tire is about 6 inches off the ground. Now you can fully unscrew the lug nuts and remove the flat tire. Be careful, as the tire will be heavier than you think. Set it aside and grab your spare tire. Align the spare tire with the wheel studs and lift it onto the hub. Once it's in place, screw the lug nuts back on by hand, tightening them as much as you can. We'll use the lug wrench to fully tighten them once the car is back on the ground. For the best prices on jacks and other tools, check the link and video description. Alright, we're back on the road and everything seems to be running smoothly. Thanks for sticking with me through that repair. Remember, regular maintenance is key to keeping your car in top shape. Written by Fixbook, my name is Jordan. Alright guys, so your car is overheating. That's definitely not a good sign, but don't panic yet. Overheating usually means something is wrong with your car's cooling system. Driving with an overheating engine can cause serious damage. If you see your temperature gauge creeping up towards the red zone or see steam coming from under the hood, pull over to a safe location. Let the engine cool down for at least 30 minutes before opening the hood. Safety first. The coolant system is under pressure. Now let's talk about what might be causing your car to overheat. One common culprit is a low coolant level. Coolant, also known as antifreeze, keeps your engine running at the right temperature. Over time, coolant can leak out or evaporate. Another possibility is a problem with your thermostat. The thermostat regulates the flow of coolant through your engine. If it gets stuck closed, it can prevent coolant from circulating properly. And then there's the fan, or should I say fans. Most modern cars have an electric cooling fan that helps to pull air through the radiator. If that fan isn't working, it could cause your engine to overheat. So, now that we've got a basic understanding of what can cause an engine to overheat, let's move on to diagnosing the problem in the next section. Check the link in video description for the best prices on parts and tools. To figure out your overheating issue, we need to do some detective work. Ensure the engine is cool before checking the radiator. It's the honeycomb-looking thing at the front. Check the coolant level. Most radiators have a translucent reservoir tank. If it's empty or low, that's part of the problem. Inspect the radiator and hoses for leaks. Look for wet spots or white residue indicating a leak. Replace any leaking components. Next, let's move on to the thermostat. Consult your owner's manual for its location. Locate it and check for damage or leaks. Now let's shift our focus to that electric cooling fan I mentioned earlier. With the engine off and cool, visually inspect the fan itself. Make sure the blades spin freely and aren't hitting anything. Give it a gentle spin by hand. It should turn relatively easily. If it's stiff or doesn't spin, the fan motor might need replacing. Start the engine and let it run. Watch the temperature gauge. The fan should kick on as the engine warms up. If the fan doesn't turn on, check the fuse and relay. Your owner's manual will help you locate them. If everything checks out and the fan still doesn't work, consult a professional. Stay tuned for the next chapter where we'll tackle another common car problem. Alright guys, so brake squeaking. Nobody likes that annoying sound and it can be a sign that something's wrong with your brakes. But don't worry, we can figure this out. The first step is to figure out where that squeak is coming from. Now, there are a few different possibilities here. It could be that your brake pads are worn down, and that's causing the metal to rub against the rotor. Or, it could be something as simple as a little bit of dirt or debris caught in the caliper. See how these pads on the left are looking pretty thin? That's what we don't want. New pads, like these on the right, are nice and thick, giving you that good braking power and preventing those nasty noises. So before we start taking anything apart, let's take a good look at the brake system. We'll check the pads for wear, and we'll also inspect the rotors for any grooves or scratches. Once we know what we're dealing with, we can move on to the fix. For the best prices on parts and tools, check the link in video description. Now, if the brake pads and rotors look good, there's a good chance that the squeaking is just due to some dirt and grime buildup. Over time, this stuff can cause friction and make your brakes noisy. To clean things up, we're going to use some brake cleaner and a wire brush. We'll spray down the caliper, the pads, and the rotor, making sure to get into all those nooks and crannies. And remember guys, safety first. Always wear gloves and eye protection when you're working with chemicals. Once we've got everything nice and clean, we're going to apply some brake grease to the back of the pads and the caliper pins. This will help to reduce friction and prevent those annoying squeaks. But don't go overboard with the grease, a little bit goes a long way. Alright, so we've cleaned and lubricated the brakes. Now let's put everything back together and take it for a test drive. Hopefully that squeaking is gone. For the best prices on parts and tools, check the link in video description below. If cleaning and lubricating didn't do the trick, or if your brake pads are worn down, it's time for a replacement. Don't worry folks, it's not as hard as it sounds. First, we'll need to remove the caliper. This is usually held on by a couple of bolts. Once the caliper is off, we can take out the old pads and install the new ones. Make sure you get the right pads for your car. Check the link in the description for the best prices. When you're installing the new pads, it's important to apply some brake grease to the back of the pads and the caliper pins. This will help to reduce noise and ensure that the brakes operate smoothly. And that's it, we've successfully replaced the brake pads. Now just reassemble everything, pump the brakes a few times to build up pressure, and you're good to go. Alright, the dreaded check engine light. I know it can be intimidating when this little guy pops up on your dashboard, but don't freak out. It doesn't necessarily mean your car is about to explode. The check engine light is like your car's way of saying, hey, something's not quite right. It could be something minor like a loose gas cap, or it could be something a bit more serious. But the first step is not to panic. See that little engine symbol? That's our friend, the check engine light. Now, it's time to do a little detective work and figure out what's going on. The check engine light is triggered by your car's computer system, which constantly monitors various sensors and systems throughout the engine and emission system. When it detects a problem, it turns on the light to alert you. Check the link and video description for the best prices on diagnostic tools and parts. So, how do we figure out what the check engine light is trying to tell us? Well, we need to read the code that's stored in the car's computer. To do this, we're going to use a handy-dandy tool called an OBD2 scanner. You can pick up an OBD2 scanner at most auto parts stores for a reasonable price. Check the link in the video description for the best prices. They're super easy to use. Just plug it into the OBD2 port, which is usually located under the driver's side dashboard. Once the scanner is connected, turn on your car's ignition, but don't start the engine, and follow the on-screen prompts to read the code. The code will be a combination of letters and numbers, and it will give you a general idea of what the problem is. Now I know what you're thinking. I'm not a mechanic, I don't know what these codes mean. And you know what? That's totally okay. There are tons of resources available online where you can look up the code and get a more detailed explanation. Once you know what the code means, you can start troubleshooting the problem. Some common issues that can trigger the check engine light include a loose gas cap, a faulty oxygen sensor, or a problem with the spark plugs or ignition system. Many of these issues can be fixed at home with a little bit of mechanical know-how. For example, if you have a loose gas cap, simply tighten it up. If you have a faulty oxygen sensor, you can replace it yourself. However, some issues, such as a problem with the catalytic converter or the engine control module, are more complex and may require the expertise of a professional mechanic. Remember guys, if you're ever unsure about something, it's always best to err on the side of caution and consult with a professional. They have the knowledge and experience to diagnose and fix the problem correctly. For the best prices on parts and tools, check the link and video description. And there you have it, 5 common car problems, and how to fix them. I hope this video helps you keep your car running smoothly and saves you some cash. If you found this video useful, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to Fixbook, and ring the bell so you don't miss any of our future tutorials. Thanks for watching and happy fixing!